Shall we know there are ways that golfers can improve their distance with a better backswing? Right, we've made several videos on that. Conversely, there's also ways golfers can really rob and hinder and limit their distance, even decrease their distance with what they do in the backswing.
Yeah.
This video is all about identifying some of those moves and helping you fix them. So we often see backswing issues come up with the driver really right off the ball, right? Golfers pull that club back and really within just a couple feet of club movement, you can tell if that guy is going to be missing some distance.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Ledbetter always would say, David Ledbetter always would say, you know, 90% of your swing faults happen in the first 2 feet of the swing.
It's pretty close, yeah.
Right? So if you can sort this part out, the rest of it becomes a lot easier.
Absolutely.
So I think what Mike is talking about here in the beginning of the backswing, you know, we're talking about things that golfers are doing in the backswing that are killing their distance. The first one is probably this rolling takeaway.
Yes.
Club face to the sky, rolling the wrist open in the backswing in an attempt to get the club to the top.
Right.
But obviously they're doing it in a manner that's got the club face wide open.
That's exactly right. So one of the ways to combat that, golfers will start to do the opposite of that. Is take the club away super shut.
Yeah, so the guys, hey, your buddy tells you, you open in the club face.
Right.
So, oh, I got it, I'll just twist it this way.
Right.
So in reality though, all you're doing is putting in a move that you're gonna have to undo, and you're right back where you started.
And you start to see all the things that we talk about in our right wrist video. This right arm locks out, this right wrist doesn't bend well, all those things come to happen. So how do we want to move the club at the takeaway to fix either one of those scenarios?
Yeah, I think the best way to do it is just to feel like you're shaking hands with somebody. I mean, the simple stuff a lot of times works the best. These simple images you can use on the golf course. If I was going to shake hands with somebody to the right of me, I would just swing my right arm over there.
Right.
And if I do that with the golf club, that's fairly neutral.
I even like it. Let me hold your club there. I would like shake hands with your left hand.
Yeah.
Right there.
Either
now
way,
put your right hand on it. Yep.
Yeah, you could do either way. Whatever,
exactly
whatever your
right.
brain connects better with, that movement there will get you started off on the right track. And at least you're not getting yourself behind the 8 ball before you even get halfway into the backswing.
The golf swing is just 1 second from the time we pull it back to the time we hit it. So getting that first few feet, like what you referenced earlier, that first few feet on line, moving well, angles in pretty good shape, really puts you ahead of the curve rather than behind the 8 ball for adding distance. So move number 2 that we see, and it really kind of is an extension of move number 1 a lot of times.
Yes.
Right, with part of the takeaway.
Yeah.
Is we see golfers, you know, starting from a really static starting position, and you got to get movement somewhere. So a lot of times we see this first move off the ball is like that, a big sway, rock, move the mass way out past the right foot in many cases to get kind of some momentum to kind of get this big speed build up that we're trying to find.
Yeah, especially a lot of times with baseball players, there's more of a back shift, I guess, with the mass of the body. And that player ends up over here with the weight almost outside the right foot.
Right.
You'll even see the foot roll slightly.
Yes.
And they have everything at the top, and the weight is still camped out outside this right foot. It's pure distance killer.
100%. And I mean, this is where distance becomes an issue with the amount of curve and inconsistencies across the club face now. So we're really starting to affect the downswing when we start the downswing from way over with all this mass on the right foot. It's got to be recentered by that point in the swing.
Yeah, and you know, again, back to simple concepts like the handshake on the takeaway. This is an oldie but goodie. May have been Sam Snead said he tried to play within his feet.
Yes.
So if you just think, if you're shoulder width and you have some angle to both legs, right, slightly in, you want to try to basically play within that framework.
That's exactly right. We'll show you in the drill section way we combat that, but you're exactly right. You don't really want to be shifting either downswing or backswing outside, rolling to the outside of each foot. You want to, you're going to be able to put the most force in the ground, take advantage of the ground the best, whether it's gaining speed or braking, by keeping your body inside your feet. Number 3, and then we see this all the time, especially as golfers get older, is they want to keep that backswing growing, but they're physically not doing the things to allow that to happen. So instead of turning to the backswing, to the top of the swing, they just lift.
Yeah.
Right? We see that all the time.
Yeah, so basically, Again, it's one of these cases where I could just put the club in place. It looks kind of good when you take a picture of it or stop it on video.
Kind of good.
Right? Yeah. It's somewhat playable.
Right.
But the problem is when you go and try to search for that just by putting your arms there, you're not making the body movements to create the motion in the club.
That's exactly right.
So what you'd rather do is, as your club is swinging back, you want the corresponding body rotation and tilts that allow the club to get really solid at the top and allow the transition to happen correctly, instead of just lifting the arms and normally that person is going to get out of sequence.
Yeah, it's like faking a good backswing, right? You kind of like posing a good backswing like we do all the time in these videos.
Yeah.
Instead of really rotating, winding up, and having the club being the result of all those things, you're kind of forgetting the important step and just trying to throw the club up there and then hoping all it takes care of itself on the downswing, which virtually never happens.
Yeah, and you know, the shoulder joints can do a lot of things, right?
Yes.
We want to get the club there, like Mike said, with good body movements. And there are some corresponding arm movements in there, but making sure that your body winds up and has the correct amount of tilt at the top is going to help ensure that the thing gets in a good spot the right way, the correct one.
That's exactly right. So those are 3 really distance killers that we see virtually every week, almost every day. And now we're going to show you some drills to help you eliminate those from your swing and kind of reverse the process and start turning these into distance accelerators. All right, Sean, let's talk about the takeaway. And we already talked about the handshake drill, which is, it's been around forever, but that's the reason why it's been around forever, because it's effective.
Yeah.
Now let's kind of add to that handshake drill.
Okay, so Mike and I took some impact tape and stuck a T through it, you can see here, just to indicate where normal to the club face is, right? Kind of 90 degrees out from the loft of the club.
Sure.
So if I was to set up at address here, that's going to be pointed at the target line or somewhere down the target. When I take it back, the reason I like this T, because it gives you almost a pointer indicator of where that club is.
Right.
So you definitely wouldn't want to roll it to the sky, so
Yes.
the T points up at the ceiling, and I don't want to roll it down. So you can gradually allow that thing to open up to where level to the ground, the T's level.
Right, that's what we're looking for, is to have this T somewhere level to the ground. If you're gonna err just slightly toe down. We really don't want to see the air with the toe up, or the T up in the air.
Yeah, we look for, you know, commonalities and windows of that work. You know, we see this work, we see this work. We don't see too many players playing out of that position.
No.
There's just too much that needs to go in less than a second at that point to undo it.
So now let's add some motion to that. So let's have you set up. Let's have you take your right hand off, put it up above, and get some motion into this club. Get some motion swinging it. So perfect. And what you're looking for here is the first few times you do this, you may see it kind of come like that. You just watch the T as you swing it back. And really,
if you do it wrong, just make your adjustment.
That's right. And this is a great way to learn what causes this to happen rather than just knowing that it happens.
Because I could feel right away what my arm and forearm would be doing to make that motion happen.
And as you're doing this, and this is why we like that right hand out in front, is you're going to kind of keep the hand virtually the same distance away from the thigh as when you started.
Beautiful.
And as opposed to getting, you know, this kind of movement or this movement here. So be aware of what you're doing, add motion to it, and just watch. The T's a great source of feedback, and just watch that T. We're not going to hit balls doing this, so you can really get a sense for where that T is. And as soon as you start doing this well with one arm, throw it back there, place the second hand on it. Throw it back there, place the second hand like there's a third hand. Place the right hand on it, and then start doing them both. And you really should start to see that T moving the same no matter how many hands you're putting on the club. That's a great way to get this early part of the takeaway dialed in. All right, Sean, now let's tackle all this sway off the ball.
Okay.
So we've got our playing board here, and we just propped it up, and you can use anything really, a chair, sticks, anything in the ground. We're just gonna use this because it's handy. And I'm just have you set up to it. I'm just gonna place this right off his foot. So now he's got a really nice kind of wall there outside of his foot. Now, he can close that gap in the backswing, but we don't want him to touch that.
Right, exactly right. You might see some guys have a little bit of motion towards it, but as they wind up and finish the backswing, they regain that distance.
You should start to see some gaps. So let's do that again. So let's go right to the takeaway. Go ahead and take it back. Right there, you can get close at the takeaway. Then from the takeaway on, you should start to see some gap there.
Kind of back towards recentering.
Recentering, that's exactly right.
Yep.
So this is a great way. It's a real simple drill. It's just feedback. And we're real big on feedback because it lets you know, boom, there's a lot of you out there going to be knocking this cushion over. And it's going to really give you an idea of, okay, that's okay. And then it turns and recenters versus there up to the top and then throwing it the other way.
Yeah, and then another way to use this, you know, you don't want it to grow right away. You know,
That's exactly right.
I see that every day in lessons, just gapping on the backswing, you would call it, which puts the pelvis too far forward. Now you've got nowhere to go. You almost have to reverse your hips.
That's exactly right.
To even hit it.
So if you're going to close the gap, close it early, and then start to peel it away later at the top of the swing, and then you're good to go for the downswing. All right, now let's talk about the turning versus the lifting. So this is a really simple concept, but under pressure or under age, the pressure of age, this gets to be more difficult and more difficult. So let's do it down the line here, Sean. So let's add, let's say 20 years to Sean, makes him 92 years old.
Yeah, that's what I feel like.
And we're gonna know he's got a lot of it's tough for him to rotate. So what would normally happen is he just kind of make it back, lift the club, and get what you get on the downswing from that position. All right, so let's start to break up some of that rust in the old body there and really start to find ways to add some rotation.
Yeah, and you know, be careful with this if you've got bad shoulders. You know, and what I see a lot of people do that do this drill incorrectly, they put it up here by their neck.
Right.
It doesn't really do a whole lot. Try to get it down behind your shoulders a little bit and almost lock your shoulder blades back.
Yes.
Now you've got some tension on the club, you can kind of feel it. Now get in your posture. And now try to get your back to the target. I mean, and I even need to practice it because I feel a totally different wind up.
That's exactly right.
My entire kind of core is wound up. I feel a stretch across my midsection here.
Pulling the chest apart.
Yeah, so that's a good drill in order to feel what it should feel like when you have a golf club in your hands.
And don't grab a wedge and try this.
Yeah, get wide with the
if
driver.
you're really tight in those areas, get like a broomstick where you can, the farther you can get your arms apart, the easier it's going to be. Don't grab a wedge and try to do it here. Really spread yourself apart. Make yourself big. And start to really get the body used to moving and rotating.
Yeah, and the more you do it, you can even kind of add it in as a warm-up to finish the motion. But just learning the movement on the backswing and then taking your club and try to feel the same stretch. For a lot of you, that's something you never felt before, and it's going to help you a lot as far as getting distance back.
That's exactly right. There's a lot of power in that rubber band stretching and snapping back, and you want to be able to take advantage of that in your swing. So here's 3 really distance killers that we're going to turn into distance accelerators. Add more distance to your drives next time you're out there on the course. Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please click on the like. Also, let us know about if there's content that you want us to make that's specific to your swing. Right? You have the most important swing in golf, and we want to make videos to help you play better golf. So leave us comments down below about this video or about something that we haven't made yet that you want to see. Also, don't forget to subscribe. That'll give you notifications just as soon as new videos come out. If you haven't gotten our free distance video yet, click on the first pinned comment below this video. You'll see a link there, click on that. That'll take you to a page where you can enter your name, email, and we'll send you a free distance video so you can add more distance to your swing instantly, right straight to your inbox.